What's happening? My name is Blake Harris, and this is the Music City Mindset. Music City Mindset is licensed under the NFM network, and we are so grateful for that partnership because we can be found on all platforms everywhere. We're coming to you right here from the Music City Muscle Studios. Yeah, I see you like that. Music City Muscle is the #1 premier strength and conditioning gym in Nashville. All are welcome, and we are all united by strength. We have a big show for you today. And when I say big, I mean like big, like the big D, and I do mean Dallas, but we'll get to that in just a little bit. For this part of the show, unfortunate for you listeners, I am riding in this saddle solo. Evan's got some things to take care of, and we might see him later. We might not. Be safe out there. Easy. What I want to talk to the room about today, I want to talk about pressure. This weekend, with the Music City Fit Expo, Tennessee's strongest, incredible turnout, such emotions of decompressing after a big event. And I'm starting to see the pros and the cons, but all things that are contributing to building something from nothing. And I feel like when you build something from nothing, when you come from nothing, the expectations of the other people around you or your competition, haters, the people who love you, all of that, the expectations are still really low because what you're coming from or what you're not coming from. And at this point, this is the 5th year in a row. Tennessee's strongest has been at the Expo. We have had over 50 competitors every single year. Music City Muscle has had the best #1 strength and conditioning team 2 years in a row. Number one gym overall this past year. Through all of you viewers and listeners and readers, Nashville Fit Magazine, we are very grateful for y'all. Music City Mindset won Best Local Podcast 2 years in a row. Now I'm starting to see that building something, now the expectations have changed of the people around you. Now there's more expectations, there's more pressure. And pressure is really what I want to talk about because that growing up as an athlete has made it where when the pressure's on, who can get through the pressure is usually who becomes a champion. And so within that, I'm trying to find pressure. And I found a bunch of it over this last week and still trying to navigate all of that. So my question for the room is, how do you deal with pressure? Do you intentionally try to find pressure, elevating expectations of you from the people around you? How do you feel about pressure as an entrepreneur?
Good question. Thanks for having me here today.
Absolutely.
Once again, Dallas Jackson with Tipsee Music.
Yeah.
So when it comes to pressure, I definitely have never had any issue finding it or it finding me. So the idea of seeking it out, I guess would be a good thing if you had to do it. But well, there's also, I think that maybe it's just also how your upbringing is or how you're raised or how you are as an individual. Maybe it's not something that I'm seeking specifically, but it's more the things that I want to do that just, it comes with it. So to answer that question, I would say just comes with the territory.
Yeah, you gotta get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
as an entrepreneur. And he gave himself his own little intro there. But sitting on the couch today with us, originally from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval. There it is, right there. Founder, owner of Tipsee Music, also a financial advisor, wealth advisor. So I got a bunch of questions. Welcome to the show, Dallas Jackson.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So. Great applause from the room there.
Good crowd here.
So Jacksonville, Florida. What brought you to Nashville, Tennessee?
Good question. I'll try and keep it as short as possible, but we got an hour.
The
first time I came here was probably 2016, and my dad and my stepmom, they would randomly do trips here over Thanksgiving sometimes. Like if they're like, we're gonna do our own thing. And that year I just happened to come with them. And back then it was nowhere near as busy, obviously, as it is now. And so I kind of like the idea and the feeling of like a little bit of snowfall, Thanksgiving, kind of like holidays, and just the chillness of Broadway, but the cool aspect of the live musicians that were here. And, even back then we're like pretty dang talented, especially coming from Jacksonville. I've never been to a bar or venue that has what I would call good talent, to where they can also play any song you can think of.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of,
Human jukeboxes.
yeah, hooked me on to Nashville. And, especially I think so do the math here. So I was probably 25. So, yeah, still coming out of college and, liking having a good time. So Nashville, drinking, listen to live music. Can't get any better than that. So kind of set my sights on it, and didn't know if I'd ever move here. Just figured I'd travel here a lot. And eventually it did come to fruition.
Well, we're glad it did.
Yeah.
It seems like with every aspect of what you're doing, some of the stuff you've done with rodeo, what you're doing with Tipsee, even with some of what I read with some of your financial advisement, there seems to be music kind of intertwined a little bit with everything that you're doing here. Is music itself important to you? Do you play?
No, I've attempted to teach myself a few times here and there, but being as ADD as I am, I picked up a few songs on piano and guitar, but just kind of never kept up with it. Now I do want to pick it up here. Maybe I'm trying to make myself do it because I actually just had my first son about 7 weeks ago. And
Congratulations.
His name is Rocker, and he's a Nashville native, so he has to learn music.
Absolute rocker.
Yeah, so we'll be learning something together, I think.
That'll be really fun to watch.
No, it's just I've always had, I think everyone loves music. So it's just one of those things that I think is never going to go away. And in terms of spread the positive and all that, just I wanted to make a positive impact in the space, and kind of marry together my things that I'm always working, which is in finance, numbers, all that stuff, like making money, and then also technology, which I've always been interested in, coming up with new ideas, coming up with new things and new systems. So
one of the things I was really excited to ask you, because you work with this of helping musicians, which is usually the term struggling artist and things like that. It's a passion project for a lot of people. It's what they feel like they were called to do, set out to do, even though it doesn't always make a lot of money, especially in the newer stages of development.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems like within any aspect of any industry that you have people that are just focused on making money, regardless of what they have to do to bend themselves, mold themselves. They're just going after the money grabs. And then you have people that are really trying to do it the right way. That's usually a slower way. That's very authentic, that don't care about the money aspect of things.
Yes.
But they're usually the more passionate about the actual product. Some of the things that I've had to self-assess lately is how much I rely on that identity of what I come from or coming up out of. And even wondering if that mindset is holding me back because I don't prioritize money. Do I not have money because I don't prioritize it? How do you balance, or maybe help balance, people who are passionate about what they want to do, maybe aren't just money driven, but helping them actually accumulate money and actually, because you have to pay the bills.
Right. Yeah. So those are great points because I've been in the industry, I can say now, for a while. There are a lot of people who are very money hungry and will fake authenticity or cut corners to get to that money quick. And the thing is, just as quick as you can get it, as quick as you can lose it.
Yep.
So the way I've handled Tipsee Music, so I started it while still working at Merrill Lynch, and Merrill Lynch is actually what brought me to Nashville, ironically.
Okay.
And so Tipsee Music was, the whole thing when people that are, done multiple businesses are do something you're passionate about. So live music, good times, helping artists, that's what it's all about for me. So, in the grand scheme of things, I understand that Tipsee Music, while we do make a lot of money that we're processing, the actual in profitability and the front is not there, but long term, done right, is there.
Isn't that with everything though?
Oh yeah, for sure. So at first, I've seen others come and go. I mean, there's other competitors I've had that had millions of dollars behind them that have already gone under because they went for the quick dollar. They went for app downloads. The artist works for us. They should be thankful that they had the opportunity to be part of our thing. And it's no, you're supposed to be a benefit to them. And if it's not growing organically, it doesn't work. Like it's like you can't force it. It's just it's like if you were to I would say Uber, but Uber did pump a lot of money into that to make that work.
Yeah, they did.
But yeah, beside the point, I mean, just doing it right and scaling it right. Because I mean, I've had conversations with people that want to get involved with Tipsee, that want to put fuel in the fire. But I always say, like, how do you want to do that? Because if they do it wrong, or try and tell me that you need to do app downloads before everything else to get more data, it just won't work. So
let's talk about Tipsee. You said you moved here in 20.
So I actually moved here. So first time was 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
I moved here in 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
So with what you saw, being enamored by the bars, the scenes, and growing up here, I worked on Broadway for years when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And the idea that Broadway in Nashville, in the Music City, could be a launching pad. You could get discovered.
Yeah.
From there and go on to bigger, better things. Broadway now is a whole different animal.
For sure.
What was it about Broadway that you saw coming from Duval County, thinking you could put your fingerprint on this city here? What hole in the market did you see that Tipsee was needed for these artists to help these artists progress in a more, technology has advanced, but there are things out there of just putting a QR code of their Venmo and things like that. There's already like free things that they could do to get digital money from people who aren't carrying cash anymore.
Yeah.
What is different about your app? How can you be more of a tool to them than the other just financial apps that are out there?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the direction and how Tipsee works and how it came about has been an ever-changing story since the beginning. So, and as an entrepreneur, you probably understand that as well. But so at first, because I hadn't lived here, I was like, it was just so cool if like all these bars had live streams, and like you're at home and like, when you're younger, you're pre-gaming before you're going out or whatever. You send requests, you live stream, Honky Tonk Central, Tootsie's, whatever. But I knew that at scale and like quality control, that like having that quality audio and video tie-in, especially back then, was not something you could do. Now, then that kind of got me down the rabbit hole of the payments, because you watch them walk around with a jug and arguing back and forth with drunk people who don't know how the system works. So the goal was to create a drunk-friendly process. So
okay,
yeah. So well, I mean, less friction. So
exactly.
So like I said, I've had competitors come and go, but the ultimate competitor technically is Venmo. However, Venmo, multi-billion-dollar company, but they cover everything from splitting rent, dinner, everything. And so because they've got more secure and more advanced, which is good, coming from financial services, being secure and being safe is number one. So they're allowing fans to recall tips from 6 months ago from a song that got played and all that stuff. So for one thing, it's such a, just like a there's no touch point there. Like it's a cold transaction. Whereas with Tipsee Music, you're scanning it, you're seeing their picture. It's like, oh man, here's this artist, here's their price points. There's no arguing back and forth. It's all very clear and understandable. Because after tens of thousands of people have used us, they're not realizing they're using Tipsee. It's all about the artist. And then when we wrap up that transaction, because we are web-based, we then say, follow this artist on Instagram. That way we're building their following too. So you already have two big benefits there. You have minimal friction in terms of the process. Then number two, we're helping them build their following organically. So, and this is just getting started too. We got a lot more things planned in the future.
Interesting. So with that, who are you selling Tipsee to? Are you going to bars to say, hey, your talent should be using this? Are you going to the artists specifically? How are you getting this out there?
Good question. So primarily social media and word of mouth. So our top artists will refer people. They'll come to us. It's been very much word of mouth through social media. And for venues, I've got a lot of venue relationships, but that's the other thing that my competitors kind of screwed up on first, was they went to the venues too early. And the thing is, these venues have so much stuff going on. The last thing we want to do is push your product for you that they don't understand. So what we've been doing quietly for the last 5+ years is building all this data out in the background, where we have all these people that come into your venue are willfully doing these transactions and doing song requests. So we're going to build out these fan bases and then essentially give the venues the ability to unlock their location, essentially. But then build into all the things of, they're obvious. So marketing, advertising, booking, all that stuff, automating things, and potentially even building in menu systems, drink ordering, all that stuff. So,
okay, I see where you're
yeah,
wanting to go with it.
And there's even more beyond that.
Okay, well, we'll definitely get to that.
Yeah.
But from a culture standpoint, I do think that if I'm at a bar and I see someone and they have what looks like almost like their own app versus someone who just puts their Venmo QR code up there.
Yeah.
I feel like on one hand, you help legitimize
the
artist to the public. Is that something you've heard?
I would say, well, they won't outright say it because, but yeah, so I think one big thing is like we've had, like I'd say there's a good percentage of artists that are kind of entrepreneurial. And they understand that their brand on stage is important, and they are very consistent with their marketing of pop-up banners, all that stuff. But then there's some that are just like put on a piece of printer paper, tape it to the thing, and they just roll with it. So I'm always trying to encourage people, if they're going to be a Tipsee artist, to use our materials. Let our artists design you a branded thing that looks like it costs what it costs versus photoshopping something together. And because I hate to be blunt with artists, but I'm just like, you have a banner that's your face this big, your QR code's this big in the corner, which is blocked by everyone in the front row, and then you have your Instagram handle at the bottom, and like no one's interacting with that. Like,
right.
Your goal is to make more money primarily, and then organically we'll draw your following. Like, let us do the work, but put that QR code at the top, make it big, brand it, and make it just look good on stage. It's just little things like that. That we can help with.
Yeah, you got my wheels turning here. In the big scheme of where you're trying to go, what do you think is going to be like your biggest obstacle to overcome?
Well, it's honestly, it's education of educating people around what the product is going to do and how it's going to do it, because so I did get my patent at the end of last year, which goes through basically everything we've discussed, even up to doing this for large concerts, to where it manages VIP, merchandise integrations, all that, as well as PROs, so royalties for live music and all that. So because there isn't really a method of how BMI, ASCAP monitor how songs are being played and all that stuff in venues. It's very antiquated. So
yeah.
My goal is to not be a sellout and ruin live music for everybody. It's about how we can build systems that make it more rewarding for, like we were just talking earlier about how last month the Cranberries song Zombie was the number one song in the country that we had requested. So we have these like random songs that come up, and like when Brad Arnold passed away in March, I believe, or February, his song Kryptonite was the number one requested song in the nation. So the people vote through us and pay the artist for songs that, the top of mind. It's kind of cool to see that real-time data.
That would be really cool, because then you can start prioritizing things on a menu where it's like,
oh yeah,
in the bars, Freebird was $100 song.
Oh yeah, that's the popular $100 song. Yeah.
Right. But as you start seeing what's most requested, you could really actually start putting financial worth on those kind of things. That's really cool.
One of the things I wanted to build and have been in talks about is building an integrated AI that's just for that feature only, that will take in data of what's going on around the country, but also take in, like, for instance, if Garth Brooks comes to town, he's playing Nissan, tell the artist, hey, increase the price on those songs this weekend, or your average price can go up. One of the biggest telltales I've seen with earnings overall is the weather. If it's a muggy, nasty day out in Nashville, I mean, tips go down crazy. But if it's sunshine, not too hot, rooftop drinking weather, I mean, it's gangbusters. So all these little data
so
points.
Almost like surge pricing.
Yeah.
For like, Uber Lyft of like riders versus drivers.
We don't want to ruin it like when Uber first came out and they were doing surge pricing.
Right.
Yeah.
But something a little bit of that to allow for different pricing. Okay. So you mentioned like you don't want to ruin live music.
Of course.
Be a little devil's.
Some people do for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be devil's advocate and make sure you're thinking about everything and not ruin it for the rest of us.
Oh boy. Put me on the spot.
I think we were talking about pressure in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The time I was around Broadway, working on Broadway, there were people that were still getting signed.
Right.
And they were pushing themselves because they wanted to get signed because they wanted to get out of the bars. There's not a lot of people. I'm sure people have fun doing it, but that's just a stepping stone.
Oh, for sure.
No one sets out and be like, oh, when I grow up, I want to retire by being an artist on Broadway.
Yeah.
And the system was kind of designed to have to earn yourself out of that.
For sure.
It was a little uncomfortable. The pressure playing the bars, playing those day shift with it terrible weather, like to motivate you to get you out of that.
For sure.
But now as the city's grown, places have gotten more popular. Now there's this technology coming out doing that to help them increase revenue there. You could say what you're doing is taking someone who was in an uncomfortable position with the motivation of getting out of that and getting better for themselves because of how uncomfortable it was. And you're making them real nice and cozy in these bars, almost that could over time take away that motivation to get out of the bars, to go push themselves a little bit harder. So what would you say to an artist about how Tipsee can grow with them as they want to get bigger than just the bars?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I will say, like, especially for the Broadway grinders, I mean, I'd say there's a lifespan of that too. So whether they are growing, which is great, or they just get burnt out. The goal is to make Tipsee to where not only we're doing tips, like we get to the venue portion of things and we do one of the other things that I've patented is what I call Rhythm Router, where we automate helping them fill in micro tours, essentially, like expanding where they play in different markets and all that. But to where people can do live music more full time. And then also, I mean, for instance, like our first artist ever. So I actually did have a mobile app before the web-based.
Okay.
Cassidy Daniels, she's doing really big things now. I think she's on the new Yellowstone and doing a few other. I think she just signed a big deal and stuff like that too. But the goal is to promote and help these artists grow. And I want to see that at the end of the day. And when they are successful, and especially if we are the driving factor long term, they're just going to refer other people to use us. But it's just like I said, trying to create that economy of live music artists. But also, I think that it also becomes we're gonna give mom and pop random bars in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, the ability to do live music to where they get a random ad from us. It's like, you ever tried live music on a Thursday to drive more traffic? If you book this artist, they'll bring their own speaker. All you need to do is give them a stool, and then they see the impact of live music, which based on all the different it's every few years that BMI puts out a study on the impact of live music on a venue. I mean, it drives everything up about 80 to 90% across the board in terms of how long people stay, spend, all that stuff. So us being the place to do that is the ultimate goal. So that's a long way to answer that question. But
no, I mean, it was also kind of a long-winded question to explain where my mind was going. But it makes me a little bit more relieved that it is still about helping the artist and taking the people that are having to serve and wait tables and be behind the bar and also try to do their music to give them a pathway to do what their actual passion is full time.
Yeah.
And I think that element there of getting live music in more places and things like that, because Nashville, it's competitive, because good luck finding a place that already doesn't have live music now around here. But when you think bigger than our bubble, sometimes I forget we're in a bubble here in Music City.
Well, and then too, I mean, as we get to the point where, like I said, there will be a Tipsee music piece for like live or bigger live shows and all that. So
like a Tipsee festival.
Well, that'd be awesome.
You heard it here first. I said it.
But like for like a bigger concert, we've got one version where it can be utilized for a charitable aspect. So it's just like they tip to pick the encore. There's not much the artist has to change, but they could potentially raise tens of thousands of dollars right there to just like change the last song. Everyone knows what an encore is.
Especially if you could do a like a poll.
Yeah, well, it's
like this song or this song,
or dollars, and
Yeah.
And so
That's a really cool thing.
we could do that right now. I've had talks about it, but I don't like to do anything until I know it's 100%. Because also you're dealing with people's money.
Yeah.
So it's moving that kind of money around like we have. It's just like I don't like pushing live yet on something until I know that we can do it. Because once you go down that path and you say you move tens of thousands of dollars, everyone's looking at you like, where is it at? So
No, that's good. That definitely answered the question of the impact of how it's more than just a Venmo, how
Yeah.
it's more than just something here to maybe help everyone around it there, but also giving those steps, those platforms to be able to take that artist to the next level, that it's not just right here, right now at this dive bar,
yeah.
that it can elevate. Tipsee will elevate with them as they elevate. And that's a really cool thing. I think more people need to have that collaboration mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like when you're talking about people coming out the gate too hard on things.
Yeah.
Because they want to be the thing.
Right.
And really just understanding your role in things and doing that. So that's a beautiful thing. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the back side of this, I definitely want to talk more about the finances and just your ability to navigate this city the way you have. But before then, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to hear a word from our incredible sponsors, and we'll be right back here at the Music City Mindset. And we are back here at the Music City Mindset, and we are here with the one, the only Dallas Jackson. Dallas, I want to know, did you always want to be a financial advisor? Is that the thing, like as a kid, you were playing with like Monopoly money and like, is that where you thought you were going to go full time?
Absolutely not. Now,
Okay.
we did play a lot of Monopoly growing up, and we try to bring it out for the holidays, and I'm basically undefeated. My family hates me for that part.
Yep.
Yeah, it creates a big outbreak, but was good Monopoly, but no, did not plan on being a financial advisor growing up. I actually went to school, so I went to Florida State, great school,
okay.
good party school.
Yeah.
And with that, being 2013, the national champions, that just demolished my GPA. So I was not able to get into business school, and so went poli sci.
You and Bert Kreischer.
Yeah, Bert Kreischer, yeah. And so I went to poli sci, and I was working at the Capitol, being lobbyist and all that stuff. Just politics wasn't for me, but I had some friends that were working for Fidelity Investments, older than me, and they're like, "Oh, making a good career and all that." Well, I was like, "Well, if I can get a job there, then that's a great starting point, and I'll kind of figure it out from there." So my goal is really just to get a good job out of school and then learn what I could, and then kind of narrow down what I want to do beyond that. But what happened was I ended up passing the exams to my amazement. Got all, I think I've got 4 licenses now, and just went into the sales path and started just accelerating up. And then Merrill Lynch is across the street in Jacksonville, so I went there. And then within a year and a half, they opened up the new dream job in the nation, which was the brand new high rise at the time, Bank of America Tower down here. And I was like, I've always wanted to move to Nashville, and that's what So to answer your question, no long term, but end up being pretty good at it, in the
Yeah.
corporate space. So yeah.
So, how much of that knowledge of the licensing and the experience that you built up, your resume in wealth management, how much of that actually plays into exactly what you're doing now with Tipsy of like advising people how to create that wealth for themselves?
Well, I wouldn't say it translates too much because, well, at least in the artist piece, because right now it's more of like focusing on the systems, getting them rolling, and like day to day. Because it's not like we're just a piece of the puzzle. But in terms of how it translates into everything holistically, I think it's more of just being professionalism, like having the knowledge that especially like having put on a big music festival and all these different things that you have to like be really above board when, especially when you're dealing with lots of money. So having that experience of managing millions of dollars and doing that and having that pressure of performing and also being above board compliance wise, that definitely is transferred or transition to what I'm doing now.
Do you use any of this through the services you offer with Tipsy to then also advertise, be like, also, if you need help?
Yeah, I mean, people have asked me for different financial advising things in the past. So with the group that I'm with now, Pinwell, we do have kind of a minimum threshold. That's depending on the situation, but around 250,000 or so, and then, but we do now have a subscription model and stuff like that to where people can actually have recurring financial advice based on a price point, essentially building a plan that they can. Because a lot of times, no matter how much money somebody has, it's all about first fixing the bad financial habits. I mean, I've
Right.
seen people with millions of dollars who are real bad, and like to where like I'm wondering if they're going to have that in a year from now. So
Okay.
having building that foundation is the key, and so that's the kind of first thing I do. And to be honest, like with a lot of people, friends, family, everything, I'll kind of give a high level synopsis and be like, all right, well, before we even go down that path, here's what I would suggest you do.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, with being a financial advisor, like I think there's a lot of value in it, but I do think, especially with I would call it the race to the bottom. Ever since the about 10 years ago, the stock commissions and all that down to $0. Like, we used to be $7 a trade. Back in the day, that's crazy. Especially if you're like someone who's not trading a lot of money. It's like so you now have to make $14 a trade to be profitable based on your commission and stuff. So but there's so many tools now. It's all very client focused. Like it's every firm's trying to see who can provide more to essentially allow people to do on their own. And there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of bad information. That's why there's an inverse Kramer trading thing. But
Yeah. So with that minimum kind of requirement, so you're
mhm.
already dealing as soon as someone walks through the door and is approved, they're already dealing with some high profile earnings
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people. Um, my question for that is, do you think it's easier or harder to deal with someone who has multiple LLCs, well over six figures coming in from different streams, different things coming in, and managing that versus helping someone who's a lower earner learn how to stack and save and reinvest to earn up to someone who would be qualified for that?
That's a good question. So part of that's going to depend on the person and how receptive they are. And then two, if somebody has multiple LLCs and they're have all those different kind of complexities, they probably have a good idea or grasp around what they're doing. They just need to have it kind of fine tuned, I would think. Whereas somebody who needs to kind of rebuild and get to that point, I mean, that's more of just, I think, a high level touch point. I mean, everyone's different though. It's just kind of a
Mm.
read on the situation.
I've
It's
never actually looked at like a financial advisor
the
like the
best.
way you phrased it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We're psychologists, essentially.
Basically, that yeah, it's like it's almost like it's actually like I would say it would be a luxury to have one
Yeah.
because I've only thought about rich people are the only ones that have them.
Yeah. So the way that the world of financial advising is looked at now and how it really is. So towards the end of my corporate career, I mean, I just was a salesman at the end of the day. And it's, I was doing portfolios and certain things that, I mean, there was nothing wrong with them, but it's like, it wasn't really my 100%. This is my full idea, my suggestion. It's like, you have to go,
Your methods.
yeah, you have to go through, following their checklists, documenting everything, and then saying, based on our conversation and going by the book, here's what we as a firm would suggest, which is, I get it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's also like, if someone comes out crazy, risky, and I'm just know that, like, no, they're very risk averse. Like, this is actually not the best. But then again, they're also far behind. So it's like,
where do you put yourself on that risk spectrum?
Well, in terms of like a allocation model, I mean, I'm technically very aggressive, but I also think that highly weighted portfolio in the S&P, or even just a high equity portfolio with just a small percentage of fixed income over time is totally fine. So yeah, allocation wise, very aggressive, but I think that as long as you have the right savings and financial plan in place, that portfolio should hopefully never be touched and should weather the storms and go through the volatility. And that's the whole thing, is, like I said, psychologist. So
Yeah.
If you have a client that is just like, bad headline comes, the market drops 5%, sell everything, like, they can't do that.
Gotcha.
Because they're going to look at that phone, and after that news comes out, we just bombed so-and-so, like, sell everything, send me a check, put it all in gold. I remember those. I used to get those calls. That was fun.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around that. But how has, obviously, I'm sure you have like your own, they enjoy that you have your own style of speaking, selling, doing things, but at the end of the day, you still have a firm that you have to, like, you're a part of. There's a bigger picture there. So doing things according to the firm standards.
Yeah.
Has that helped or changed how you take risks as your own separate entrepreneur?
No, I would say, so in terms of how things work now. So when I was full time with Fidelity and the Merrill Lynch, very by the book, very had to, follow everything specifically what they're doing. Now with Finwell, I'm technically my own book within the company. So it's not like I'm doing too much with them. Now, I would consider myself more like business development now, because I'm so focused on the things we discussed, as well as some other business ventures that I'm working on. So I'm not actively searching for clients, but if, like, someone comes through that is a fee-based client, or, a flat rate planning client, I'll work with the team and we'll take care of them. But ironically, what initially started me getting back into, because I took 2 years off, about 2 years off, because after 2 years your licenses go away. I was just trying to make sure I kept my licenses active. And so I was talking to somebody in Florida, then Brianna, good friend of mine, the owner of Finwell. She's actually the only female owned and operated RA in the state of Tennessee, which is pretty cool. Yeah. 40 under 40 in Nashville. She's maybe she should come on here. Maybe I'll have her.
I was gonna say, where's she based out of?
She's here. Yeah.
Yeah, she should definitely come on.
Yeah, she's badass. And but yeah, so I mean, I reached out to her and brought my licenses over, and then all of a sudden had some clients I hadn't talked to in a while. Were like, Dallas, we don't want to work with anybody else but you. I was like, are you sure? Like, I was like, super easy.
Wow.
And so, but I would say it's just become more like I treat clients and now and into the future as like friends, of like, I'm not gonna, like, it's not a sales thing.
Yeah.
It's just more of like looking out for what's best for them. And if it works out, that's great. If not, I'll give them the honest truth of what is probably best for them, in my opinion.
2-part question. It sounds like with friends and family, you've probably worked with people under that 250,000 minimum.
Sure. Yeah.
Threshold. But then I'm sure you've worked with people well above that threshold.
Mm-hmm.
What is the differences in guiding someone that would be more average below that threshold, versus what you have to deal with when someone's above that? But what are the similarities as well?
Well, I mean, so below the threshold, it's all about the foundation, creating habits, all that stuff. Like, what is your 401k contribution? What are you doing for your IRA? Like, what does your retirement picture look like? Setting up the goals and seeing where we are. in relation to those things, and also what things we're either taking advantage of or not. I don't want to go too far down rabbit holes and or give advice technically, but
No free advice here.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've been very hands-on with some relatives of mine. I won't say names, but to the point where I'm like, you're going to give me your log and I'm going to fix this for you kind of thing. But,
Okay.
more because they don't listen, but,
Yeah.
might be a younger brother, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, to me, it's really because tools and things are getting easier and easier. It's just like getting out the noise of, crazy things in the media. The market is, of course, driven right now by 7 large companies. But having that good foundation in place, and that's been the story, always, but like more now than ever, just having a good foundation and plan in place that you can execute consistently with or without a financial advisor is just kind of the goal, no matter what. So it's just how thick-headed somebody is more the question.
At the end of the day, whether you're a personal trainer,
Oh yeah, I'm sure
there's a lot of similarities,
Yeah.
right? Like it is a luxury to have a personal trainer. And I do work with some people that have been working in the gym for a long time, but they need that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Versus someone who like, I've never worked out before and I don't know what I'm doing. And so I think the common denominator here is the education piece. And I feel like from myself, especially not having great examples
Yeah, well, there's
before
so
me,
much.
there's so much out there that
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I feel that like what they call it, paralysis by analysis of like
yeah.
Acorns versus, all these other trading
Yeah,
apps.
you remember the meme stocks and all that?
Yeah. Like, and then, no, get into crypto, do this. Like there's
Yeah.
so much out there.
And like, you have SpaceX is the most recent thing coming out, and I think it's
It's going to go public.
trading at are going to be traded like 125 times earnings or something. It's just what's like with a lot of things in the market, like what's driving this value? Like it used to be,
Right.
people would do like
There's just so much out there now.
People would just be reading, stock reports and all that stuff or company reports, and then investing their money into a company based on what the company's doing. Versus now it's about the headlines and emotional investing. It's kind of wild, and also the big institutions buying up a lot. But I don't want to get too far down those rabbit holes. But yeah.
But you do seem like you enjoy it though.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes, 'cause, yeah, like I said, it's the psychology thing, and I like working with people and helping people, but also people are thick-headed and they don't want to listen.
So then it really requires, when there's so many different apps out there, when there's different, we have so much information. I could spend an afternoon and watch everything on YouTube that I would need to know about wealth management, but I don't necessarily understand it. So it's really about, you're kind of helping guide people navigate, kind of giving them a GPS, if you will.
Yeah. Shut out the noise.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is a good segue to one of the questions that we pretty much ask everybody. The Music City Mindset has turned into a conversation about navigation, about how to navigate this city. You're not from here. You were kind of enamored by it at one point. But to make your own success, you've learned how to navigate through this city, through the politics, through the who's who, through the gatekeeping, through all of that to create success for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to probably change a little bit about your mindset coming from Jacksonville to here of what it takes to be successful there versus being successful in this city.
Yeah.
So to you, what would you say is a Music City mindset?
That's a good question. So when I moved here, it was tough. I didn't know anybody. I knew one person. Shout out to Doug Looney, a bartender downtown. He's from Jacksonville too.
Okay.
I believe he works at Barstool right now. But yeah, the dream job. And then I just kind of was just assuming like, all right, I'll slow roll into, I think I might have one other person here, but anyways, slowly ran into people like through Nashville Knowles, which is, Florida State, club here. And then, trying to think what else I did. It was tough the first year or so. And then, but I'd say just being open to getting out there. Like you just gotta suck it up and get out and introduce yourself to people and go to events and all that stuff. And another big thing was during COVID, the people that were kind of still going and doing things. Kind of created a group of people downtown because everyone was so just like desperate to get out.
Yeah.
Because I'd moved here within a year of that. So I went from not knowing many people to meeting a lot of people real quick. They were all in the same camp of, we have nothing to do but drink on Broadway. So,
Yeah. There wasn't a lot to do around there for sure.
yeah.
So, in those first difficult times, because that's what I like to highlight. Like we can sit here and continue to talk about your wealth and your success, but you're only here at your brightest point because of your darkest times. So within those dark times, was there a time that you almost like moved out of here, quit pursuing what you were trying to do here?
Yeah.
Anything like that? And how did you get through that? What was the driving force there?
Oh man, that's a good question. I mean, I've definitely faced a lot more challenges than I ever anticipated. There was a quote from I forget which entrepreneur it was, but it's like, the more successful you are, the more problems or bigger problems you're going to have. Which I was like, okay, like that's something I forgot about it. And then it started to happen. I was like, this is what I wanted. So I guess I got to keep going. So yeah, there's been some tough times, especially, last year or so. But at the end of the day, it's just, if I take a breath and I step back, I'm like, first off, I'm doing everything right and doing everything to where I'm not worried about how I'm treating people or doing things, wrong to people. I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes here, but yeah, it's just being strong, I don't know the term.
Resilient.
Yeah, we'll go resilient.
Yeah, because it's you had to probably fight that voice in the back of your head that was like, I know two people here. This is hard. This sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back to where my people are and kind of regroup.
Oh yeah.
But there's something about Nashville that brings that resiliency out of people.
Oh yeah.
That becomes a home, becomes somewhere that even if it would be easier, that you don't want to leave. When you talk to your family or people back home, how have you described Nashville?
Well, I'd say going into that part you were just talking about is, so I've met different groups of people over the years. And so, especially as of more recently, I've leaned more into the group of entrepreneurs, people that are either running companies, startups, or potentially some of these guys are retired, they're a little bit older than me, but, leaning more into them because the other thing of, you are who you surround yourself with.
Yep.
So I've been focusing more on that. And especially with a son who was just born 2 months ago, a little rocker. It's just, my time is very important now, more than ever. So being intentional where I'm spending it and who I'm spending it with is kind of the big pivot as of recently. So I will say, to answer that question, because I feel like whenever I answer these questions, I answer really long and kind of off the actual question. But I always tell people, like, Nashville's got a lot of people that are hustling. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are BS hustling.
Yes. A lot of busy people.
Yeah, a lot of busy people. But there's a lot of hustle here. And so I think that everyone that has that drive, or, everywhere you look, is kind of driving each other. So,
the authenticity sifts through.
Yeah.
The city can chew you up and spit you out, but it likes to hold on to the people that want to be here.
Right. Yeah.
And it braces the people that really want to be here. But a lot of times you have to put up a fight.
Oh yeah.
To be here. And the ones that fight for it end up home.
Oh yeah. It's crazy to think I've been here 7 years now, and then we joke about how my son is a Nashville native now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to think about that. So
it is. You're talking about quotes from other people, I'm guessing, where you try to find your motivation from.
Yeah.
I had a very trying week this week, and I tried to get on social media to just scroll, just try to get silence the noise, like you said.
Yeah.
And sure enough, one of the notifications was a memory that popped up, and it was a memory of something I shared. It was like 2 years ago to the date.
Wow.
And so at that point, that would have been like a couple years into me starting a real business. And it said something along the lines of like, don't complain about being tired from the work that you asked for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I kind of kicked myself in the ass a little bit. Yeah. Like I kind of needed that. But it was also like, okay, fine.
Yeah. Oh, that's, I've said that a lot recently because everyone, my dad even, because my dad's a really successful entrepreneur and retired, and he's like, man, you're like, doing all these different things, juggling all this stuff. He's like, why do you put yourself through it? I was like, well,
It's a good question.
and then I look back and I'm like, yeah, if I would have just stayed on that corporate path. But then again, and I think about how I felt every day after work or going to work. Like, even if I got a big sales week or some month or whatever, it was so temporary. And so, yeah, now it's like, it does suck a lot more than it doesn't, but it's worth it. Like,
It is worth it.
I wouldn't go back.
Well, and we talked about some people that we know in common, the people you're actually improving lives, creating an impact. So that has to feel very rewarding.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one thing. It's because it's funny because like music or tech startups in general, it's like usually like highly bankrolled and these big companies. And it's like, no, it's just me and my CTO that doesn't live here. And, I've got a few developers here and there and a marketing team that is kind of on and off, but, very small operation, but it, has that feel. So these artists have my personal cell phone number. So every time I launch a new one in a brand new city who's never seen us, never met me, it's just, I'm always like, all right, how's this first show going to go? I'll get a text like, man, I got to give you a hug whenever we meet. Like, this is the best thing I've ever experienced, or this is the most money I've ever made in a show. Like, those things are awesome. Like, that's cool, making that impact.
Yeah. It's a legacy.
Yeah. I hope it too be for a little rocker.
Yeah. I just imagine he's already like.
No, he's probably crying right now. He's been doing that for the last 3 days straight. Have not slept at all. That's why I came in here with a cappuccino.
Hey, it's hard, but it's worth it.
Oh yeah.
Great. So you kind of mentioned a little bit and hinted at things of what you're trying to get Tipsee to do, and even things in the future. I don't know how far out into things you look, especially right now when Rocker's crying all night long. But what's next for you? What's next for Tipsee? Where are you trying to go?
Well, Tipsee is, we've grown really fast recently. So back in end of 25 going into this year, I redid just the back end, the payment flow, and kind of fixed a few little things, and it shot up our revenue and our growth quite a bit. So now, having to adapt, I'm actually, been going through legal stuff the last few weeks of fixing to get ready for some new partners coming in and some potential new music companies to get involved. So our growth could be pretty substantial here soon. And then I'm also working on potentially starting a new business outside of this space, outside of everything else I'm doing that's more service oriented. I don't want to talk about it too much yet because it's kind of so confidential, but it's just more of a black and white business I'm trying to make. That'd be more of an operational business where I'm not in the business. Yeah. Ideally.
That's always the goal, right?
In reality, I know I'll probably be up late at night fixing problems there. But yeah, so it's just, I don't have time to do these things, but I'll make it work,
We find a way, right?
Yeah.
What do they say? If replace can't with I don't want to.
Yeah.
You start figuring out that you can do a lot of things.
Can't spell can't without can, right?
Something like that. Yeah. When you're looking at growth of your businesses and comparing that to growth of a portfolio or someone's wealth, obviously you want all things to grow, but how do you navigate when to just pedal down and try to find that growth, or versus taking the growth that you're having to try to find something sustainable?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, with the tech stuff, it's very ebb and flow because you have all these different, especially with we're growing one piece and then we're going to expand to X and Y, and so it's a little bit harder question. Because one, it'll sometimes take more capital, and two, it'll take more bandwidth. So that's that. And then with the other business, potentially starting here soon and getting ironed out, that's more of a black and white business. So that would be, hopefully it's a repeatable process. My goal is to establish it heavily in Nashville, make it perfect with the SOPs and all that stuff, and then hopefully recreate it in potentially multiple markets. Just because, at the end of the day, Tipsee, I could spend another 5 years on it and it just end up going nowhere.
Yeah.
Just because I have a patent, just because it's successful now doesn't mean it will be. So I like to continue to build things that are a little bit more predictable. Is kind of what I'm getting to. Is just Tipsee is a more of a long-term play versus like it's, even if I pay myself now, it's not like going to build generational wealth. It's just more of like building it to the point of either acquisition or just domination.
Yeah.
So just trying to, do everything I can.
It sounds like with all these rabbit holes and upcoming things that we're probably going to see Dallas on here on the Music City Mindset once again very soon for a follow-up on where everything's going.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Hope that we can work something out. I definitely have some other questions that would probably be off-air questions, so we will get to that. One I can ask, where can I get one of those hats, and where can our listeners at home maybe get a hat and follow you along on this this journey and learn more about your business?
Yeah, so you can follow me personally at Dallas Nashville on Instagram. I believe I'm Dallas Nashville on LinkedIn, all that stuff too. And then for the hats, as of right now, this moment, go to tipseemusic.com, click on the shopping cart. However, I did just send over a brand new reface of our website this morning. So by the time this comes out, it'll be a different button. So it'll be very obvious.
Very obvious. Go to the shop. Go to the merch.
Yeah, go Tipsee Music or Instagram. We have a link for the merch. We just had a record. This hat's been flying off the shelf lately. So
it's a good hat. It's hot. It's a good hat. Can people go on to Tipsee.com and figure out what bars, what venues are using Tipsee for their artists?
Not right now.
Okay.
We actually, so with the new website coming out potentially today, it's actually going to be less revealing because we're in the background building almost everything, rebuilding it entirely.
Gotcha.
So, but the main goal for the fan is to simply it's a passive experience. In the future, there will be a fan app. There will be a Yelp of live music, if you will, but
gotcha.
It's just not necessary this time.
So for my artist friends, how do they get on it? What is that process like?
Just go apply on tipseemusic.com and it'll ask you to schedule up an appointment, and then we'll get you in there and do the interview and go from there.
Oh, so it's a full
we want
consultation.
We want to control, make sure we know who's on the platform, make sure they're having a good experience, and depending on where they're playing, we want to make sure they have the right materials, because if somebody signs up and never talks to us and they have a terrible experience and it wasn't because of our platform but because of how they executed it, I don't want that to happen. Just want to set good expectations,
I bet you got some crazy stories of people you have not approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like a beer conversation.
Yeah.
Dallas, thank you for taking the time to talk about this and introduce you into our mindset world.
Absolutely.
I would like to think that one of the things that people get out of being on this couch is not just casted to our platform, but me and my co-hosts when they're here, fans for life, following along on your journeys, and any way we can add value, please let us know. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We'll have to do some sort of follow up with where things are going.
We'll get you a hat too.
Yeah.
Before they run out.
All right. Yeah, go get a hat. And I'd like to kind of go down some of those rabbit holes when that's appropriate.
Yeah.
For that. But thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you for helping the artists.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure. And, I've always liked trying to help artists, man. I hope we continue to go down that path and change the way that world works.
Absolutely. I mean, it needs people like that. We don't. Struggling artists has always been a weird term for me, because it's like some of my favorite artists have put out their best stuff when they're struggling.
Yeah.
And when you have that bond with an artist that you enjoy, you don't want to see them struggle, but you also want to see them put out their best music. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's that fine line where we can all stay like a little traumatized to put out some good art?
Yeah.
But not hurting. And hopefully with a bunch of tips from Tipsee, that will help a lot of the artists out there. So I hope this was beneficial for everyone involved, especially listeners at home. If you like this episode, if you got something out of it, if you want to hit him up about some financial advisement like I'm going to do, go ahead and follow him, hit him up, and follow along with the Tipsee journey here. Go make sure you go hit that like, share, and subscribe. Long live M80 for the love of Nashville. Tune into the next episode.